But just to mention three concepts that we can quite easily implement once you have the price engine up and running to increase your margin position and profitability of the organization. Because eventually, of course, if you start working with a pricing solution, there should always be a positive return on investment to justify, of course, the decisions that we make. So let's go to the first concept that can be applied. So as what he said is, if we look at Excel, it's hard to manage multiple dimensions in Excel, and the error sensitivity, of course, increases with that. What we see in customer segmentation, once we are able to do it, is that we can do in B2B, of course, segmentation based on the customer groups that we have and the key accounts that we have, and then determine based on, for instance, this model where we talk about demographics, geographics, of psychological aspects or behavioral aspects, that we can take that into account to plot the behavior and the specific characteristics of the clients that we are dealing with, building a certain model that address the right client with the right product set that we want to sell in that specific group. And this really helps the segmentation of the customers to, of course, have different margins on different levels to really utilize and capture the true value that you can get out of your products. If we look more in the B2C channels, where we not by definition work with customer segmentation and key accounts, what we see there is often multiple channels, right? So if we take, for instance, the Netherlands, we have bol.com, we have Coolblue, we have Google Shopping, Amazon. If you are in Germany, we see Kaufland and Otto. And so in each country, there are different marketplaces where trade is going on. And on these bigger trading platforms, we see that sometimes there's a justification to work different prices on different platforms. Because that is based on the transactional analysis that we can do, that there is a justification to do so. And this also helps to have different customer groups, only they are now plotted in a different sales channel to discriminate or to have different prices on those platforms to eventually yield more, of course, on your margin perspective. And this is one of the solutions that you can apply once you have that engine in place, because it's easy to maintain all these different dimensions and then set prices on the specific engines and groups that you have as an organization and where you want to develop a price list for. So just as an example, next to the customer segmentation, we can do product segmentation. So product segmentation knows many models, as customer segmentation does as well. For an example, we took for this webinar the segmentation of your products. If you have your whole catalog, to look into your catalog and see, all right, which of my products are actually commodities and which of my products are non-commodities, right? And then we can identify within commodity products or fast-moving products and or slow-moving products. And we can, of course, identify in our non-commodity products which are our fast-moving non-commodities and which are our slow-moving non-commodities. And finally, of course, we have the unique situation that we are maybe introducing new products into new markets, or maybe, new products into existing markets, but the situation is quite unfamiliar in that sense. So if we then look at the automation perspective that you can achieve with the price engine, if we start making use of commodity and commodity products that are slow movers. So what do we know from this perspective? Commodity products means that there are multiple sellers in the market selling the same product as I'm selling. So what is available for me is market knowledge and understanding how all my competition is selling the same product as I am and what price are they actually asking for it. And because it's a slow mover, it means on transactional level, it's hard for me to identify which justification I can find to move my prices maybe a bit higher than competition or maybe a bit lower, and at which times that is a possibility to do so, or in which seasons, or in which part of the seasonality flow. So what we can make use of here, if we start automating commodity products that are slow movers, we can start making use of competitive pricing, and then maybe make use of a sensitivity model that is able to pull in more data points than only price and demand and volume to eventually optimize the price and how we should place it. One that's, of course, more easy to understand is the commodity fast movers. So here we for sure want to know what our competition is doing, but we also have enough transactional data to understand if we can yield more on the margin that we have running within our on that specific product. So here we can make use in the automation of competitive pricing in combination with elasticity and see if we can do the A/B testing to find out if we find justification to move prices a little bit up higher or maybe a little bit lower. The non-commodity slow move is of course a specific situation where we have the uniqueness that it is a product that is not sold by other competitors in the markets, or only a few, or that's really limited in that sense. And the other challenge that we have is that the transactional data is quite low. In this specific case, what we can do is develop the price sensitivity model. And if we have the price sensitivity model, we can still pull in different data levels and different data drivers and price drivers to eventually identify how we need to move the price. So automation here is still to a certain extent for sure possible. And the other one is the non-commodity fast movers. So here, of course, no competition, a lot of transactional data. We can utilize elasticity models here. And the final one is where we see that manual work is required, because we can look at the quadrant of automation, and where we want to automate for sure is if we have familiar tasks with a high data density. And if we are entering new markets with new products, then it is like an unfamiliar task and a low data density, meaning that we really need a part of the manual work of a human, where we need the expertise of a domain expert to start identifying how we can work the markets and understand and pioneer the ideal price point, of course, for our product that we are introducing here. Then we move to the final concept that I can tell you about, and that is all about key value items. So we can do once we have the pricing engine up and running, we see, of course, all the transactions that are going on. And within the transactions, we can also do the order analysis, or we can do the basket analysis if we talk B2C. In the most common baskets that we identify, we can start identifying what are our key value items. So the products that are bought very often, that pull in a lot of traffic and generate, of course, sales. So what we can do on a key value item is make sure that we price that specific key value item sharp in the market. So meaning that we are losing out on the margin potential that we probably could have gotten on that specific item. Although what we see, because we have automated this process and we can learn from our insight, is that the substitutes that are sold with this specific key value item can be used to increase margins a bit. And so we can make sure that the margin that we missed out upon on the key value item are compensated by the substitutes that we sell into the market, meaning that we eventually achieve a higher share of wallet of the client that is purchasing these products with us. And this is where, what we said earlier, where customer segmentation becomes really important, because per customer group, of course, and per segmentation, this key value item strategy can be completely different. Yes, and then we move already to the last concept that we can deploy here, and that is the price maturity journey that you can do as an organization. So what we see with organizations that are active in 0.1 or in 1.0 pricing, it means that they are often focused on driving the volume within their organization. So how do we set up prices in such a way that we can increase volume? The next step that we want to achieve is, once you have done the volume pricing situation, we want to move to transactional control. And within transactional control, we can learn how transactions are, of course, executed in a specific channel, on a specific customer group, etc. And based on that data, we can then make our decisions how we want to move prices, and it becomes more also data-driven and data-based. The next step is that we move to full value capturing, meaning that we are not pricing as a project, but that it really becomes a process within the organization. So we have the building blocks in place, and we know which lines are walked by a product or by a group or whatsoever to eventually optimize prices. And the final step is that we can do is that we implement algorithmic pricing, right? So that we have algorithms in place that can learn from each pricing cycle, put that data back into the engine again to learn from that data, and then reprice the products accordingly to all the conditions that we have digested, and then plot the ideal price in that specific channel or customer group or product group or specific product, because we are able to digest so many different data points that we are able to understand how the market behaves and how we can best adapt to that specific market situation.